Hello everyone and welcome to the lecture for this week. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship and ideation. What does it take to be an entrepreneur and how can you take your idea and create a business in this class? So what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is the ability to take an idea that is a solution to a problem and take it all the way through in order to create a system that provides that solution to a big crowd. You need to identify what the problem is. You need to create excitement around that problem, and we're going to test all that this semester. We're going to go from a simple idea to actually doing market research, market validation, all the way to financial projections, and actually operating the business. This is not going to be a theoretical class. We're actually going to build a real business, and you're going to get to test it. So entrepreneurship is the ability to create that. And you can create either a lifestyle company or a high growth company. And it's totally up to you. A lifestyle company is basically a small company. It can be of a revenue of less than $1 million a year, and it can fulfill personal goals. You probably see a lot of franchises around you or small businesses, and that's absolutely fine. Not every startup and not every company needs to be the next Facebook or Uber. I encourage you actually to think about something that you're passionate about. Create a company not for the purpose of having big revenues and big financial gains, and actually create something that you're excited personally about that you can seek through and you want to go every day to work. On the other hand, we have a high growth company, and usually those are 1 in 20 businesses. They're usually very large and they have really large returns as well. You've probably seen Facebook, Uber, those major companies that usually have investments and hundreds of employees. Now, if you're one of the lucky entrepreneurs that has a high growth company, that's actually even better. But now you don't even have to think about it within those terms. So what does it take to be an entrepreneur? The first thing is you need to come up with a solution. You can't just be an entrepreneur on a simple idea. You need to provide something that the market wants. And once the market wants it, then they're willing to buy it, and now you're in business. You're a risk taker. That doesn't mean you have to risk everything, but you understand that entrepreneurship is not a safe road. You're probably going to have to quit your job or spend endless hours working on your business. And it's just going to keep getting harder and harder, but that's the joy in it. You should feel definitely joy in creating your own company. There's a lot of uncertainty. You're going to have a lot of questions when you go through this program. And when you actually get some answers, you're even going to have more questions after that because it's very variable. You need to make decisions not only for you, but for your entire team. What is the best way to sell the product? What is the best way to market the product? Are we making the right product for this problem? We're going to answer all those questions this semester. Now, the culture of entrepreneurship is a very energetic culture. When you surround yourself with other entrepreneurs that are passionate about what they're doing, it's totally electric, and you get excited to talk about your business and about your startup. You're always seeking something new. You're always seeking to learn something. And I hope that in this class, not only from these lectures, but from all the additional support and the resources and the online articles I'm going to share with you, you get to expand your mind to think like an entrepreneur, because it's totally a mindset. When I started in entrepreneurship, I was just an engineer. I didn't really know how to start a business. I didn't know how to do market research or even how to talk to a customer. But it's about a process. Don't expect this is going to happen overnight. It might not even happen this semester. When the semester is over, maybe a month later or 10 months later, that's when you might have your big idea. And what I hope to do in this class is to teach you the process in order to apply it anytime you have this next big idea. From the other side, we also have the positives of being an entrepreneur. You know, if you're looking around you and you're sitting at work and you're surrounded by cubicles, is this really what you want for the next 10 to 20 years? Do you want the freedom to do your own thing, to call your own shots? Do you want to create something that actually creates an impact for everyone around you? Do you want the flexibility? All that comes with entrepreneurship, and it comes with the ability to create something with your own hand. It's definitely a joy that you should feel when you do something like that. Now, of course, with every positive, there's a negative, and the negatives on entrepreneurship are actually pretty high as well. The negatives are you're going to be under a lot of stress, because you're going to go through something that probably not a lot of your friends or family members are going through. They're not going to understand why you're staying up till 3, 4 in the morning working on something because you're so passionate about it. It's definitely not structured. It's not organized. You're not going to have a manager to report to. You're not going to have someone to discuss these things with. And that's why I encourage you to join a lot of the blogs and a lot of the websites that support entrepreneurs. It's a lot easier to talk to other people who are going through the exact same things. Do not expect to be working 2 or 3 hours a day on your startup. Most likely you're going to be working 10 to 20 hours a day. And that's actually pretty normal. Usually you're probably going to go do your full-time job and then come home and have enough energy to work on your startup. Do not expect a lot of financial return in the beginning as well. Actually, 1 in 5 do not earn anything in the first 12 months. And you're going to be spending a lot of money. Just don't put yourself at too much risk in terms of that spending. Try not to take too many personal loans, or actually any loans at all. We're going to see in this class that you're able to start a business and take it all the way through on a very, very limited budget of $200. Now, in order to become an entrepreneur and to have a successful startup, the number one thing that you need is passion. Because passion is what's going to drive you through the entire program. Are you passionate about the idea that you're working on? Are you passionate about creating a solution for that market? I strongly encourage you that when we get to the forming teams and actually working with other people in this class, team up with someone that you're passionate about. That you're passionate about the person and the idea. You need dedication and a lot of hard work. Don't expect this to be an easy class. Yes, there might not be a lot of assignments, but the main goal is you need to be building your business. And I need to see that progress throughout the entire semester. You need to be a really good communicator. That includes oral and written. Oral because you're going to be giving a lot of pitches and presentations and videos. Written because you're going to be submitting a lot of reports, not only for me, but for a possible investor by writing your business plan. And you really need to be good at teamwork. It's all about communicating with your team, setting expectations, and setting guidelines of when things should be done and how they should be done. Entrepreneurship does not have to be high risk. We're going to focus on that in this class. You might hear stories of people who went real in debt because of their startup. I strongly encourage you not to do that. You can test if people want your product or service on a very small level. And if they do want it, then you can use the revenue that you generate from that in order to get even more products or services and grow your business. If you have a product, we're going to learn Kickstarter and how to use the crowdfunding platform in order to earn early money from pre-sales. If you have a service, we're going to learn how to run your business in order to generate revenue, in order to grow your service business. All that can be done at a very low risk. So the things to do in order to grow and build your business in this class is you need to fail fast, fail small, and try again. Don't be afraid to change your idea. The first idea that you have is probably not going to be the best idea. And usually 1% idea and 99% is execution. So feel free to fail. It might sound weird for an academic class to say that, but we're going to actually try to fail very fast. It's better if you fail fast and you realize that the market does not want your product instead of spending the entire semester working on something that people don't want and that you realize that 7 weeks in or 16 weeks in or so on. You need to focus on understanding how your financial model is going to work. You might not be generating revenue from day one, but understanding how you might generate revenue in the future is probably a good idea, because if you're seeking some investors, they're looking for a return on their money. And don't try to be big too soon. You know, a lot of you might have great ideas. You might have ideas about colonization of Mars, to spaceships, to all these different things. But let's focus on something that you can actually accomplish by the end of this semester. Think about this class as a test run for your first startup. If you've done a company before, great. Think about this class as a way to advance your skills. I want you to actually see a business that goes from idea all the way to execution by the end of this semester. A couple months from now, you have the next big idea. You can go ahead and apply those principles in order to work on something that might take you a year or two. Now, the barriers to creativity in this class is totally in your head. Don't be afraid to get criticism. Share your idea with other people. Don't be afraid of someone stealing your idea. Because, as I said, it's 1% idea, 99% execution. And the skills that you have as an entrepreneur is what makes your startup real. Do not worry about over-management. So, it's going to be a lot of chaos in the first couple of weeks. And that's okay. Worry about understanding who your customers are and actually trying to have progress in your company. Now, the management part is totally about your teamwork. Just make sure that your team is doing their work and the business is going to move forward. Now, your business can have different, sources. You can be an invention, so it could be a great idea that you just come up with and no one has it on the market. We're going to learn in this class how to do a trademark search, how to do patent search, and how to apply for those. So you can see if you're infringing on anything that's currently existing. You can be an extension of an existing product. You might come up with an idea of this new phone case. It's an extension of existing phones. You're not producing the phones themselves. You can work on duplication. For example, it could be a business that currently exists, but you're targeting a different market. Think about a lot of those ideas. And it could be, sometimes in duplication, it could be a business that exists in another country, and you're trying to bring it to the US. We've probably seen a lot of those, like the escape room. Escape room is an attraction where you basically get trapped in a room with friends and family, and you try to escape within an hour. That idea started in Singapore and Japan, and it migrated here. That's a duplication. Or it could be synthesis. It could be a combination of all these ideas that we talked about. So it's up to you how you approach it, but there are multiple ways to start a business. And again, your idea does not have to be groundbreaking or super innovative. You just have to figure out a way to make it happen. And your idea could be something that currently exists in the market, but you might have a better way of marketing it. You might have better customer service. I just want you to be really specific how your business is going to be different than anything on the market. Now, the sources for those innovation, I really encourage you to check a lot of the resources that I shared with you on Blackboard. There are a lot of links, and I read those links daily. It allows me to basically engulf my head with all the resources available to me and to understand what the startup scene is doing. Remember, it's all a mindset. Once you start thinking like an entrepreneur, it's a lot easier to become an entrepreneur. So the big question that I want you to ask yourself by the end of this lecture is, what do you want from life? When I became an entrepreneur, I had a job as an engineer. And one day after 6 months of working that job, I looked around me and I just saw cubicles and I saw people working there for 20 to 30 years. And I'm like, I don't want to die here. So I walked into my boss's office and I'm like, I quit. Because I wanted more from life. I wanted to do something different. I didn't really know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I didn't really know that existed, or I didn't really have much experience, but I knew I wanted something else. And I want you to ask yourself, what exactly do you want? It might be a big question, but I want you to think about it through this class. Are you looking for happiness or money? If you're looking for money, it's going to be easier to just have a job and, get up in the corporate ladder and make that money. But I can tell you there's not a single level of joy that you won't experience as an entrepreneur. But with entrepreneurship, you're not going to have an average day. You're either going to have a depressed day where everything is going bad, or you're going to have a super awesome day. But that's a cycle that you should enjoy if you're truly meant to be an entrepreneur. It's a truly thrilling ride. So you might not be ready to be an entrepreneur now. And I'm not trying to convince everyone in this class to be an entrepreneur. Maybe by the end of this class you realize that my goal in life is to actually get a job. I'm much better at that. And that's absolutely fine. And you should totally appreciate it. And I appreciate that you actually came to that realization. But maybe one day, maybe 10 years from now, maybe 5 years from now, you realize that you want something else. You have this weird feeling inside of you that says, I can create something more. And that's the call of an entrepreneur. So I want you to think about that, try to realize who you are, read a lot of those resources, and read stories about how other entrepreneurs started. And hopefully that gives you inspiration of where you're going to be in the future. So the time will never just be right. Do not create excuses for yourself. Yeah, you might have a job, you might have kids, you might have families, you might have 17 other classes that you're taking, but the time will never be right. You're always going to have something going on. And I want you to just have the dedication to say, now is the time that I'm at least going to give this a shot. Because I'm taking this class, might as well get credit for it and actually try to see if I'm a true entrepreneur and start a business. And there's no such thing as a bad idea in this class. I'm going to let you do any idea that you want. I don't really care what the idea is, as long as you prove to me that that idea is valid. The idea might sound weird to us. You just have to find the right market for your idea. So I totally believe that there's no such thing as a bad idea. There's just an idea and the right market for it. Now, you can read through those and you can see that every entrepreneur started with some negative pushback, and you might experience that. Some people might support your idea, some people might not. Just try to filter through those and don't let it affect you personally. We're going to go through this class with different exercises that allows you to understand what's the difference between a good idea and a bad idea, and how do you let the customer tell you that. Don't be emotionally attached to the first idea that you basically come up with. Don't fall in love with your own idea, because most likely it will change. And my goal in this class is to push you to the limit. I'm going to be devil's advocate, and I'm going to push you to the limit until you fail. And once you fail, we're going to help you stand back up, brush it off, and we're going to come up with another idea. So I might be rough on you, but I'm hoping that you actually come up with a good business by the end of the semester. So make sure you check out those articles and videos. I hope you had a good lecture, and I'll see you next week.